Excellent. Thank you. Again, good morning, and thank you guys for joining us. We'll go ahead and start with our presentation. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our speaker, Mr. Donny Dee. He has an excellent bio, so I will be reading that to you this morning. All right. Donny Dee joined San Diego Rescue Mission as President CEO mid-July 2017. Growing up in Kansas City, sports has always been important to Dee. He played football, basketball for Oak Park High School and was a four-year letterman in football at the University of Tulsa, graduating from there in 1988 with a business management degree. He was then drafted by the Indianapolis Colts and played in the NFL for 2.5 years with the Colts and the Seahawks. Go Seahawks, right? Dee began his career in 1990 with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes in Colorado. Dee went on to become COO of FCA for 5 years before relaunching the Tom Landry Associates, a major donor at FCA. Dee is married to his college sweetheart, Jackie, who was also a collegiate athlete. The two have grown children, Johnny, 25, Jennifer, 22, who both played college basketball at USD and UCI, respectively. And again, thank you so much for joining us today. We're looking forward to your presentation. So take it away.
Well, hey, thanks for that nice warm welcome. I'm delighted to be here and have the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you about the San Diego Rescue Mission and what we do, and then just also about our homeless crisis that we have in this county. And when Scott asked me if I wanted to come and speak, I said about how many people will be there, and he said, I don't know, 20 or 30. And I said they'd be willing to listen to me for 20, 30 minutes. He said they would. And I told him that I've been married for 33 years. I have a 29-year-old and a 26-year-old, and nobody listens to me anymore. So to have you for 20 minutes, I got a lot to get off my chest. So thanks for this, and hope that today is informational, educational, and as you know, if you are aware of what's going on with our homeless crisis, you know that San Diego Rescue Mission's coming to North County, and we have big plans for what we want to do at the old Oceanside High School. I want to get into that. And so in the brief moments that I have, I really want to tackle the myths of homelessness. Part of what we think we have to do as an organization is change the narrative. This isn't just about housing and about food and about medical care and clothing. This is about changing the narrative because we all have assumptions. So part of what brought me into this, I was 27 years at the Fellowship of Christian Athletes doing what I love doing. Started in Colorado, ended up here in 97. My task was to open offices, implement a program, raise money in the 8 counties of Southern California. And I did that and was a part of that. And it's a community-based effort where we're working with coaches and athletes and schools and camps in the summertime, and I was loving what I was doing. But I just started seeing the homeless in 2017. I mean, I've always seen people who were experiencing homelessness, but I think this was the first time I just started to wonder in my mind and start asking questions in my heart. Why are you here? Why are you there? What is it that you need? Do you have an addiction? If I give you money, you're going to do something good with it, or are you going to do something bad with it? Do you have family? Have you ever worked? I mean, just all of these thoughts and questions, and maybe some of you have had as you've seen somebody at an off-ramp or walking past them into a coffee shop. Just started having these thoughts. And I think for me, it was really, and not to over spiritualize, but I think for me personally, it was God's way of leading me to this issue. I've been here since 97. I've gotten a lot out of Southern California. Came here kicking and screaming. I'm just a Midwest kid that never heard one good thing about Southern California. Not one good thing. And then you get out here and you live here for a while and you're like, man, this place is great. Don't tell anybody. I think that's why we don't hear good things about Southern California, because you all are sending out rumors and they're getting to Kansas City, and I just fell in love with this place. And I think I realized that whatever days I have left here, I want to leave it better than I found it. And we have a homeless problem. We have a homeless crisis. And we're spending more money than we ever spent. We're spending more time than we've ever spent. It's not getting better, it's getting worse. And so what are we going to do about this? This is not a government problem to fix. It's a community issue to resolve. I believe that with all my heart. And we can't can't, as much as I appreciate politicians and the role that they play, and I see Jack and Corey here, and thankful for the role that they play and how they fight for good causes. I just don't think that this is something that they can fix. I think this is something that we have to resolve. And if we all do something, I really believe that we can change the state of homelessness in San Diego. San Diego Rescue Mission has been around for 65 years. We started as a little soup kitchen. A couple business guys from Sacramento came down to San Diego. They were vacationing. They saw the homeless problem in downtown, which used to be mostly just a kind of a downtown issue, right? Saw them open up a soup kitchen, started to feed them and to care for them and to meet them. Over time, our organization realized that there's something more systemic going on here, and we need to provide more therapeutic clinical care. So we've evolved into a faith-based 12-month rehabilitation program. I have a 100,000 square foot facility in downtown San Diego. I have 360 rooms. If you went down there right now and drove around our building, you wouldn't see anybody camped out outside. You wouldn't know that there was 300 plus people living inside that are working on getting off their streets. I believe with all of my heart that the solution, not the only solution, not the only program, not the only strategy, but the number one solution to changing the state of homelessness in San Diego is rehabilitation. And we're going to talk about that as we get into these myths, because what's going on in here is really what needs to be addressed. There's a difference between meeting the needs of the homeless and addressing the needs of the homeless. And what we do at the San Diego Rescue Mission, not that it's a competition, because it's a lot of great organizations, but what we do is we've sold out to rehabilitation. You come, you live with us for a year, we call you a student. First semester is wellness, second semester is education, third semester is job, placement, and housing. And you work through that as slow or as fast as you want, but as a student, you know you got 12 months. We got other people who we want to get through this free program. You work the program, we guarantee you will get you off the streets in 12 months. And we're seeing life change. We're seeing people that are getting a chance to figure the stuff out that they haven't been able to overcome their entire life, that's led them to take 2 steps forward and then end up back on the streets. Ask the average person living on the streets their story. It's been this cycle of success, default back on the streets, success, default back on the streets. Just can't seem to overcome the challenges that are in their heart. So I want to spend a little bit of time going through 5 myths of homelessness, 5 things that I think I probably believed at some point that you may even believe. And I want to talk about why these are myths, not facts. And I want to tell you what's really happening with the state of homelessness and with people who are experiencing homelessness in San Diego. And at the end, I'm going to show you a video that really involves Oceanside. We are going to be running a shelter not too far from here, and it'll be a navigation center is what we call it. We closed today on an 8-acre property in National City. The mayor down there and myself will be on ABC News today at 1:30 talking about that 160-bed facility. And I want you to see how we're going to use these remote facilities to really create a system by which somebody who's experiencing homelessness can get off the streets. Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
Let's start with common myths about homelessness. And the first one is this: people that are homeless want to be homeless. It's not true. They didn't choose homelessness. They ran out of options. And the average person that's living on the streets just dropped anchor, not sure that they can have any different life than what they're having. And so they're just surviving. They're not thinking about how to change their life. They're not thinking about tomorrow. They're not thinking about next month. They're not thinking about next year. They're not thinking about retirement. They're not thinking about their family, just thinking about surviving. I think one of the things we find is that where the services are tend to be where the encampments are and tend to be where people congregate, because that's where they're getting their needs met. See, there's a difference between meeting the needs and addressing needs. We need to do this. But if this isn't tied to something that ultimately is going to create life change, new disciplines, new commitments, and the opportunity to address the trauma that's going on in your heart, then ultimately we're not changing anything. And let's just be okay with that this is good, but we're not changing anything. And I think that's the primary reason why homelessness has grown so much. It's because, as the police chief of Oceanside told me in his office one day, this is powerful. This is profound. The homeless are falling through the cracks of all the services that are being provided. They're not connected. So I'm going here to get a shower. I'm going here to eat. I'm going here to get clothing. We're going here to medical care, and it's all good. And we're meeting the needs, and that's important. But if they're not connected, to the opportunity to address what's going on in here, then ultimately we're not changing homelessness. 85% of those that, let me just read that touched by homelessness, substance abuse, or criminal justice system have experienced trauma. There's the word, trauma. Next time you see somebody living on the streets and experiencing homelessness, know this, there's a story there. There's a story. And if you heard the story, as I have heard the story the last 5 years, keep in mind, didn't know diddly squat about homelessness until I got in this role and had to learn fast. Had my own assumptions and my own myths about why they were there and how long they would be there. But as I've heard people's stories, I'm like, oh man, first of all, you're not that much different than me. First thing. Second thing is, I'd probably be homeless too had I gone through the same situation you've gone through. One of the guys in our program right now just revealed to us that he started drinking when he was 5. Lifetime addict. And I said to him, 5? I mean, how do you know you were drinking alcohol when you were 5? Do you even remember that? He said, I don't remember that. But my mom apologizes to me every time I see her because she blames herself. He had severe asthma. And the only thing that would put him to sleep at night was a little shot of whiskey in a sippy cup. I mean, it's a sad story, but it makes sense that he's been a lifelong addict. He's grown up thinking that in his brain, thinking that he needs this substance to cope, to live, to deal. This lady right here on the next slide has graduated. She's off with her daughter doing great things, we think, and we believe. We just launched a program October 1st called Alumni Ambassadors. So we're building an army of people who have graduated from our program, who are healthy, housed, working, sober. And she's a part of that program now, and we're staying in touch with her on a regular basis. But we found out that when she was a little girl herself, now she has her own little girl, we found out that she was running from domestic violence, finally got into a new apartment with her mom. As you read the story, she went to school, came home that day, after her first day of school, came home that day, and her mom had left. And by the time we found her at 34 years old, she had never seen her mom since the day she left her home, coming home from school at the end of the day. And so she spent her whole life wondering, where are you, Mom? And do you care about me? And are you okay? Does it matter to you if I'm okay? And just looking for value, looking for worth in relationships, and has made some of her own bad decisions, and she would admit to that. But you take a situation like that, and once you hear the story, I start to see anyway that people aren't homeless because they want to be homeless. People are homeless because they're dealing with some stuff. But I think we as a society, and certainly we as an organization, have got to take very seriously. We're going to get people off the streets permanently. That's myth number 1. Myth number 2 is this. People that are homeless just need to get a job. I mean, it is true that you can't pay rent or you can't pay mortgage, and you can't pay your bills if you don't work. And so we take people into our program. We don't take the severely mentally ill. We don't take those that have extensive physical disabilities, because that's just not our program. There are other programs that do a much better job at that than us. In our program, you have to work day one. Everybody participates. You're in the kitchen and you're in facilities, and you know, you're working on the 5th floor, and you're working mission services, and show us you understand the discipline of work. Let us teach you the importance of the discipline of work. First semester and second semester, we'll put you back in school, because by the time you graduate, you got to be employed. And we're going to help you with that, with our business relationships and with your skill set and the assessments that we do. We're going to help you with that, but you can't get a job until you get healthy. And you think about somebody that you see living on the streets that maybe you or I have thought, man, just get a job and that's going to change your whole situation. Where are they going to shower? How are they going to show up with clean clothes? You're interviewing for a job and you're not your best. It's difficult to get a job when they've got other crises that they're dealing with in their life. Like, where am I going to sleep tonight? Is it going to be safe? How am I going to eat today? And part of the vision behind the navigation centers is that we're going to eliminate the immediate crisis. You've got a bed, you got a meal, you can shower. This is a safe place. Let us triage you, case manage you, and figure out how to get you off the streets permanently. You don't become homeless because you run out of resources. You become homeless because you run out of relationship. Ask anybody on the streets who's experiencing homelessness to tell you their story. And I think you'll be amazed at what they've been through, and maybe even a little inspired. Start hearing their stories and you're like, dang, you should be dead. The fact that you're still alive is a miracle when you listen to their story. The other thing is you see all the bridges that they burn, just trying to survive, just whether it's family members or friends that have tried to help them, because there really is a community that doesn't want to see them living on the streets. And they have run out of relationships. Next slide, I think, is a testimony of Donald, fun student, the guy that I got connected with. But in the end, he says this: I had no one. I destroyed all my relationships. I became homeless and lost everything living on the streets. But today is a great day for me, because day after today, I'll make smarter decisions being sober. It's a miracle that I'm here. If you ever want to do something with me, I invite you to, we have to set it up in advance, but come down to the mission on a Thursday at 2:30 and sit with me. We couldn't all be in there, but a few of you at a time over the next several months, sit with me when we welcome and orientate the new people that we take in off the streets. I always ask them name, where you're from, and why you're here. And we go around the circle, and man, it's raw. It is raw and make you cry just hearing some of their stories. And I've actually said to them as a group that it's really by the grace of God you're still alive, isn't it? And they're shaking their head yes. And I use that to challenge them to say there's still breath in your lungs, that you're still here. Look what you've overcome. Let's get this right, and let's get you healthy so you can help other people. I believe, and one of the keys to the navigation centers we'll talk about here in a minute, I believe that the best strategy to reaching somebody who is homeless is taking somebody who's healthy that has overcome homelessness. I've never been homeless. Been married 33 years, and my wife's never even made me sleep on the couch. So I don't really mean anything. And I'm not bragging. It's not too late, I know, but I've got a good streak going. I don't know anything about homelessness. I really don't. Learning a lot these last 5 years, but people who've experienced homelessness that have overcome that do, and I think they should be doing outreach with us, and they are through our alumni ambassador program. Next myth is this. Myth number 3 is homelessness only affects middle-aged men. Yeah, it's true that the majority of and I believe there's about 23,000, 24,000 people living on the streets right now in San Diego County. The majority of those are white males between the ages of 50 and 70. No doubt about it. But the fastest growing population of people experiencing homelessness is women with kids. That makes sense, because if the males are living this dysfunctional, difficult life, and many of them are connected to a relationship with a kid, then they're living in chaos, and they're either trying to get free from the drug addiction and the unstable lifestyle, and for many of them, the physical abuse, that they're ending up on the streets. I have in my facility 60 beds for women and kids only. It is a pseudo navigation center. That's really what gave us the vision for opening these similar programs around the country. The biggest difference between what we do downtown at that facility and the navigation centers that will open throughout the county is that they have to leave at 7 in the morning, just a part of our CUP to be in Bankers Hill. They can't stay there all day, which breaks my heart. To show up at 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm seeing these women and kids leaving the building. Fastest growing segment of homelessness is women and kids and families. Next slide. Myth number 4, affordable housing will end homelessness. Housing can help people that are homeless due to poverty, but it doesn't address the thousands that are homeless for other reasons. And that's really what I hope I leave you with today, is that there's something going on in the heart. Outwardly, yeah, they need help. They need a lot of support, but it's really about what's going on in here. And this is the heavy lifting, y'all. This takes time. This is difficult. This is 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's not like we got something magic going on. This is just a bunch of people. I have 100 staff and a $12 million budget, and we don't take any government funding. I just got a team of people downtown that really care about you, that really care about people experiencing homelessness, and that comes through. And so as somebody's going through our program, like pictures of the people that you've seen, I think they realize that maybe I got a chance here, that maybe I don't have to figure this out on my own. Maybe there is a community that wants to support me. We tell our students all the time, it's not that God helps those who help themselves. That's not even a Bible verse. And yet we've communicated as though it is. That's not a Bible verse. That's something Benjamin Franklin said. And I think it's powerful, but I think what's more powerful than that is that people help those who help themselves. And I think there's a whole community of people, not just in Oceanside, but throughout the county, that really want to help. We're just not sure what to do And what really does help? What helps is getting people into programs where they can address the issues of their heart. Next slide. Myth number 5, helping people enables them to stay homeless. Healthy boundaries are important, and trust your spirit. But I disagree with that. I know that it's been said on TV and in interviews by people that know more about this issue than I do, that don't give them money, don't give them food, you're only enabling them. I have a different take on it. I'm not saying that you should give money every time you see somebody. I'm not saying that. But I want to challenge you to see them. I want to challenge you to see them. And then trust your spirit, trust your judgment. What I have learned is that the biggest obstacle to overcome with somebody experiencing homelessness is not housing. It's not job training. It's not drug and alcohol recovery. The most difficult thing to overcome for somebody living on the streets is shame. S-H-A-M-E. Shame. It's the driver. It's the driver of everything that they're doing, and it's the driver of every thought that they have in their head. That's why they're all walking around by themselves. You ever notice that? Man, if I was homeless and you all were homeless, we would build a team, a family, and look out for each other and survive. But the majority of them are walking around. Why? Because they don't think anybody's ever been through what they've been through. And that's a lie. You got a whole building of people that have similar stories. And they don't think anybody cares. And part of that's their fault because of the way they've presented, because of the way they've come across. Part of that's our fault. Part of that is us looking past them, walking past them. And I don't care, or maybe I do care, but I'm not sure what to do. And so the point is this: when you engage them, hey, my name is Jack, what's your name? When you engage them with one of our ICU kits, we have a whole hygiene kit program. We gave out 11,000 ICU kits last year. And I would tell you it's more for us to change the narrative than it even is for the person living on the streets that needs the stuff on the inside. Now the stuff on the inside is helpful. Sanitation and shampoo and socks and a power bar. But on the front of the bag, it says ICU, I-S-E-E-U. And we give those out to our donors and our volunteers. And we ask them to put them in their car. And when you see somebody experiencing homelessness, ask them their name, share your name, tell them you know of an organization that would love to help, because it matters to you. And when you see them, and when you engage them, and when you ask them their name, and then you share your name, what you're doing for them is treating them like a human, which is what they are, created in God's image. They're not lost. They're not really hopeless. They may feel hopeless, but there are solutions. And I would just encourage you, as you see somebody that's homeless, to, as you have time and as you're comfortable, to engage them, because you're helping them. You're helping all of us break down that level of shame that they live with every day, because you actually see them. Last thing I want to do is show you this guy. He is a big part of our alumni ambassador program. Lost his job with the city. He was a bus driver because he had a drinking problem. One of these times I'll have to bring him up here and let him share his story with you, because you'd be really inspired. This guy was in our program at the same time as his 21-year-old son. Yeah, it's wild. And now they are both employed, they're both sober, they're both healthy, they've reconnected with their family members. I'm getting chills telling it. Not because it's plug and play. They didn't just show up and the next day everything changed. He worked a 12-month program, and there were probably many days where he wanted to leave. Because look, we got a lot of rules. We got more rules with sending a rescue mission than you'll find in the Old Testament. I'm just telling you, we got some rules. But the rules are for a purpose. We can't have 300 people in our building if we don't all kind of operate under some similar guidelines. You can't use or drink in our program. You get breathalyzed every time you leave the building and come back in the building, you get breathalyzed. You blow numbers, or we find alcohol on you or drugs on you or in your room, unfortunately, you got to go. Let's try this another time when you really want to get well. Give me 12 months, work the program, I'll get you off the streets permanently. Last thing I want to show you is a video of Operation Navigation. This is a vision that came to us during COVID. Remember in 2019, 2020, we're all hunkered down, kind of waiting for the COVID storm to pass. It was good for us. It was scary because I had a whole building full of people that weren't going home because we were home. So we had to stay open, but it gave us as leadership a chance to breathe. a chance to think, a chance to pray, a chance to be creative. And I think what we realized was we could no longer play defense. And meaning this, I can no longer wait for people to get to the San Diego Rescue Mission. We're going to go out and we're going to engage this issue on the front lines, build relationships with people experiencing homelessness, get them into a navigation center where I can eliminate their immediate crisis and work with them to get them to where they need to go next. For many of them, they'll end up at downtown at our rehabilitation program. Operation Navigation looks a little something like this.
San Diego, widely known as America's finest city and famous for its miles of white sand beaches and amazing weather. Yet for all its beauty, San Diego has a homeless crisis. In fact, there are more people living on the streets of San Diego than ever before. There are more people with addictions, physical disabilities, and mental health challenges. At over 20,000 in 2020, the homeless population would max out the flight deck capacity of the USS Midway 5 times. And spending to meet the needs of San Diego's homeless population has never been higher. That's why for over 65 years, the San Diego Rescue Mission has operated to lovingly address the needs of men, women, and children experiencing homelessness by sharing the good news of salvation and providing a holistic approach to rehabilitation and recovery. Today, the mission is growing with a new initiative we're calling Operation Navigation. We believe there's a difference between meeting the needs of the homeless and addressing the needs. There's a difference between relocation of the homeless and rehabilitation. Operation Navigation is about more than providing services. We're building a system that creates a path forward from homeless to health. It starts with launching 3 satellite navigation centers over the next few years, expanding the reach of the San Diego Rescue Mission, and increasing the number of overnight shelter beds in the county. As we engage people living on the streets, we'll be able to guarantee them a bed at one of our navigation centers, providing immediate housing, showers, and a hot meal. Each person sheltered at the navigation centers can stay for up to 30 days, and during that time, they're required to meet regularly with a case manager to create a path forward and out of homelessness. For many, they will be transported to our downtown facility and enrolled in Mission Academy, a 12-month faith-based rehabilitation program. Each day and in every location, with the generous support of the local community, donors, businesses, and zero government funding, the mission lives out the values of faith, integrity, compassion, and excellence. All the while, with the vision to see God transform lives, impacting San Diego one life at a time.
How about that, huh? What do you think? So 2 final thoughts, and then we'll open up for some questions. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
A little disappointed today to find out that Porsche drives a Honda. I mean, it just seems to me that Porsche should be driving a Porsche. Someday, huh? 2 final thoughts. We're going to change the state of homeless in San Diego, or I'm going to die trying. And I'm convinced that it takes a system. So these navigation centers are actually step 2. Step 1 is the shower trailer ministry, where we're actually going to provide a shower to engage people living on the streets. We've been doing this for 11 months at Bread of Life on Thursdays. We'd welcome you to come out on a Thursday and check it out. Maybe volunteer. It's an eye opener. Take someone that walks up to the parking lot, stands in line, uses our shower trailer ministry, our shower trailer that we're providing. You should see the look on their face when they bounce out of that stall with their hair all wet and a towel around their neck with a whole new lease on life. And it's just a short-term need. It's going to change in a few hours. And we're not going to be back until next Thursday, but you should see the look in their eyes. And so the shower trailer ministries will lead into the navigation centers. The navigation centers will lead into a long-term program. The long-term program will guarantee you, we'll get you off the streets permanently. You're involved in our alumni program, and then you get back involved in outreach. That's the system that we're building. We believe it can work. A lot's happened in 10 months. We have signed a contract in Oceanside to run a facility that you all will own, and we will own a building later today as we close down in National City. I've already been in conversations with political leaders and business people in East County to try to find a facility out there. That's the first thing. Second thing is thanks to the city, because they're represented here today. Thanks to Jack and Corey, and just had a lot of conversations with Jack about the homeless issue and about what's going on Oceanside. And obviously Corey was a big proponent and very much in favor of what we're trying to do. And so just thankful for their counsel, for their input and for their support. And I know this is an important issue, not just for you here in Oceanside, but for the whole county. And thankful that we get a chance to be a part of hopefully changing this situation. And someday we look back and we talk about how bad this problem used to be. And why is that? It's because we started doing some things differently, and we're going to build a system. So thanks for the opportunity to share with you guys, and be happy to answer any questions. Just ma'am.
How many beds here in Oceanside, and when are you opening?
Not soon enough, but it'll be a 50-bed facility, and it won't be a drop-in facility. It'll be a drop-off facility. So through the hot team, through our staff, working with other agencies in Oceanside, you'll be transported to the Oceanside Navigation Center, and that's where we will begin to care for them, to provide case management and help them figure out where they go next. I hope by late spring, but we got permits, we got demo, we got flooring, we got a whole remodel we have to do to turn it from a school into a navigation center. Answer your question? Yes, sir.
Yeah, at a time when the state of California and all local cities are kind of spending unlimited amounts of money, government agencies spending unlimited amounts of money, why can you speak to your choices of not taking government funds?
Yeah, there's really two big reasons. One, we're faith-based. So that to us is one of our unique characteristics, is that we got a whole staff that believes their faith and their relationship with God is what gets them up every day to do what they do. And that's a message that we want to communicate to the people who come in our program. The second reason is it gives us a chance as an organization to be flexible and to be adaptable, to make adjustments. I'm not beholden to any government grants. I don't have to spend my time worrying about compliance. I don't have to hire somebody to make sure that we're sending in all the reports and spending. I'm not making a statement, just my opinion, not spinning facts so that I can get the grant next year. This is about getting people off the streets. And at the end of the year, I hope you judge us based on that, not based on anything else. Judge us on how many people did we get off the streets in 2021. As we get these navigation centers open, as we begin to create a path from the guy that's sleeping next to the electrical box to getting a shower, to getting into a place where he's cared for, getting into a longer term program where he can address issues of the heart. We think we can get a lot of people off the streets once we get this system done. Answer your question?
Perfect, thank
Yes,
you.
ma'am.
So, forgive me, I just want to get clarification. So when they go into your navigation system or program, 30 days,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, after 30 days, you're saying there's how many beds in that one, for instance?
There's 50 beds in Oceanside, 160 beds in National City.
Okay, so let's just go with those 210.
Yep.
You got room for 300-year long-term program.
Yep.
So I'm just need clarification on what happens to those people after 30 days when there's no room in your facility.
Well, there's people constantly moving out of our building
But Are
downtown.
they there for 12 months? I
Well,
mean,
they are there for 12 months. We're taking people in every week. So I got people this week that have been with us 11 months that are just starting their first month. So there's a constant rotation of people out of our building in downtown San Diego because they're completing it. They're completing every month their
Sure.
program and moving out. And some of them are finishing early. Some of them may need an extra month, but not concerned about having enough beds downtown.
you're not, but the percentage is mostly facilities up to 30.
That's right. And not everybody will come to us. I mean, there will be some that'll have to go to T-Top first. There will be some that needs a skilled nursing facility. These navigation centers are low barrier and there's no faith mandatory requirement. In other words, they don't have to go to devotions. They don't have to go to Bible study at the navigation center. Now, downtown's a whole nother story. That's a part of our program model downtown. Many of those that are at the navigation centers will end up downtown, but not 100%. Because we won't be the right program for them. We just don't have that level of care based on where they're at.
Yeah,
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. You mentioned that politicians and homelessness aren't a really good fit. some people would maintain that faith-based isn't necessarily the right thing to do either. Nevertheless, here in Oceanside, Bread of Life, which was a shoestring operation, which was hugely successful, and it was faith-based. And I know you guys were, they were
Merged,
subsumed
yep.
by you, or I
Yep,
don't know
yep.
exactly what happened, but you merged.
Correct.
So what I was wondering is, Tim Izagiri, who ran it, who was a local banker here for many years, and him and his great crew, I wonder how what they're now, how many of them are still with you?
Yep.
And what, what all
Yeah.
their roles
Yeah.
are now.
Fun question for me, because the whole Bread of Life merge really opened our eyes. We didn't merge with the plan to have these 3 navigation centers. We merged because it just seemed the right thing to do from an effectiveness standpoint, efficiency standpoint. As we got to know each other, we're like, hey, you guys are us up here, and we're you down here in downtown, just a little bigger. Let's merge because we can cut costs. They had no staff when we merged with them. It was completely volunteer ran. We since have brought Tim on staff full time because we need staff presence, we need leadership, we need direction. We've also hired a couple other people that were volunteers at the Bread of Life, and we're currently running a food distribution program over on Apple Street. We have a thrift store. We have evening meals and message, and then on Thursdays we operate a shower trailer. Our lease is up there in July. We would like to stay there and continue the food distribution program, but we're trying to work something out with the landlord. Tim will transfer over to the Oceanside Navigation Center and be our director, our paid staff director, along with advocates, which are case managers, along with CLAs, which are like resident advisors, along with facilities. We'll have a team of staff at the Oceanside Navigation Center, and Tim will be the leader of that program. Answer your question? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I just was wondering what percentage of veterans have been through your program and are now currently in your program, let's say the past year?
Yeah, if my VP of programs were here, he could give you a much more accurate number on that. Not many, only because Veterans Village is a much better, there's so many more resources and opportunities for them over there. We have had a number of vets go through our program. But I think as we sit down and do admissions, I think what we're able to share is that, Veterans Village downtown is probably a better place for you, and that's where many of them end up. The only common denominator for somebody that gets in our facility is not, military experience or not military experience, sexual identity or not. It's not male or female. It's not black or white. Is that if you're homeless and we think we can help you, and you want to work the program, then you get into our program. And there are other programs that may be better for somebody experiencing homelessness, but we take the ones that we really believe that we can help and that want to put in the work to get off the streets. Yes,
Just
ma'am.
one more question. And so who funds you?
Who funds us? You all do. I have a $12 million budget. We don't take $1 of government funding. I raised $4 million from a direct mail campaign. If you live in Southern California, if you live in San Diego, you've received a letter from me. That raises us $4 million. And I apologize for all the paper that y'all be getting, but it works. It works. And we get $5 checks, and we get $5,000 checks. And I had a lady named Rosa that sent me a $5 money order 2 weeks ago. And that meant as much to me as the $700,000 check I got last month, because she just wanted to participate. And she took the time not to put $5 in an envelope and risk that it would get stolen. She got a money order, $5. I got a picture of it on my phone out the car. 4 million there. We raise about $1 million through business revenue, leases, and people donating us their cars. We used to have a whole thrift store business, but found out that was actually costing us more money than we were bringing in. And so we shut those down last year. And then 6 million comes from major donors, 3,000 and above, monthly donors, people that have us on automatic payment and credit card, and 12 times a year they send us a contribution, events, churches, foundations, legacy giving. we received this month a $360,000 check from somebody who had passed away, and a part of what they wanted to give to with their assets was to continue to support an organization they'd support their whole life. So $12 million. It's faith financed. I can tell you we have a plan. We have officers. I have a development department, but we work the plan and we trust the outcomes, and we always have enough to do what it is we need to do. It's never really more than enough, but it's always enough. Yes, ma'am. What's up, Ken?
Couple of questions. The Veterans Village, is that an abstinence program as well?
Is it?
Oh, Veterans Village
Not
downtown,
sure.
because I think one of the
I think
reasons
so.
your mission and how you're approaching this is the abstinence. That is the key to getting people well and healthy. Is the Veterans Village downtown also an abstinence program? Where if you go in, it's abstinence is required
Yeah.
from drugs and
I
alcohol?
believe so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
probably, but I'm not sure.
Because it was very disturbing to
think
hear
so.
on the news today that the key reason for deaths between 18 and 45 in the United States of America right now is fentanyl. And how much has the surge of fentanyl over our unsecured borders? That's a very political statement. But that surge of drugs, whether it's fentanyl or somewhere else, but that's a frightening statistic.
Frightening.
The fentanyl. So how much do you see that impacting the people you're meeting on the streets?
Yeah, and that would be a VP of programs question. I don't really know. I just know that 70%, a little higher than that, of people that are experiencing homelessness are dealing with some kind of addiction, whatever that addiction
70%.
is. Actually 73% was the recent number that I think they pulled from our association Citygate that did a nationwide survey. And it's something that we have to address. But again, I would tell you that getting somebody sober is easier than dealing with the shame that they wake up with every day. A guy told me a couple of years ago, as I was sitting with him, he said, you know what, the first thought that comes to my mind every morning when I get up, I'm thinking, it's early, I want to go back to bed. What comes to your mind? First thought that comes to my mind every morning when I wake up is, look what you've done with your life. Look what you've done with your life. So we start there with that guy. And we got to overcome this, hey, well, you can't do anything about what's gone on in the past. We all have a certain amount of days to live. Let's make today count. And let's build on that, because somewhere down the road, if you get healthy, you could really help a lot of people. Yes, sir.
What percentage of people do you take in? Navigation.
So out of like 10 people that come in, how many out of 10? Probably 60%, around 60%. We'll have today at 2:30, we'll have, I think, 10 new people that we're bringing off the streets. Last week we had 11, and that's about average, about what we can handle on a weekly basis in terms of getting them P cards and in a room and orientation and going through the student handbook that we have and making sure they know expectations and that this is a 12-month program and you can't just come and go as you want. And that takes a little bit of time with each of those students to get them to the place to where then they can now work the program. So we do about 10 a week.
I heard you say that Veterans Village does a better job for veterans, but I believe you'll see that once you open up this facility in Oceanside, your numbers will increase dramatically for veterans. How do
That's
you
good.
feel?
Appreciate that observation.
How do you feel that the Veterans Village is more suited for veterans than what your place will be?
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know that, I think we do the best job at getting people off the streets. But it's got to be something that you want. I think Veterans Village just has a lot of resources for those guys that we don't have access to. And so if they, well, unlimited dollars for housing, for other programs. I don't know a lot about what they do. I just know that what I hear from my admissions and what I hear from my program staff is that that guy was here. We felt like Veterans Village was a better place.
However, you do feel that by going into your program, you're going to get them off the streets, you're going to get them into, I mean, you're going to do what you just said Veterans Village does with money, but you can do it part. So don't you feel you've got a strong hold here in Oceanside for me to send veterans to you rather than to Veterans Village?
Yeah, I mean, let me just be perfectly honest with you. It's because we're faith-based. It's because I get a chance to tell you God loves you. It's because I get a chance in our rehabilitation program downtown, which costs them nothing, and we take no government funding. I get to use God's word. I get to encourage you with a bunch of people that are loved by God. I get to communicate to you something that maybe you've never heard before. So absolutely, I think that's the X factor. And I think that makes us different and, in my opinion, more effective than any other program, because we have that element that we get a chance to communicate and to share in a lovingly way. We don't preach hellfire and brimstone, and we're not pointing our fingers at anybody. We're just opening up God's word, and we're communicating to the folks in our rehabilitation program that this is what Scripture says about alcohol. This is what the Bible says about life. This is what the Bible says about your value of dealing with your shame. And so I absolutely believe that's an advantage. Yes, ma'am.
Just one quick question. Since this is a government affairs meeting and we have a lot of government people here, how can our local government help you?
That's a great question. Focus on affordable housing. Let us focus on the homeless. Hey, Leilani, I didn't even see you with your mask on over there. Holy cow.
You're impressive, yeah.
Saw my man, but I didn't see you. Focus on affordable housing. That's a huge need. I wouldn't tell you, I think it's a myth that's the only reason why people are homeless. I think it's a myth, but I think it's a need. It's a tremendous need in Southern California. And I think that this city and other cities that need to take that on. And then you all stay out of the program side of let us and Father Joe's and Alpha Project, we know what we're doing. I think we have an advantage. Not that it's a competition. We need everybody working together, playing positions like you would in a good team, and operating at a high level with excellence and results oriented. And if you don't get results, then you shouldn't be in this business. If you can't get people off the streets permanently, you shouldn't be in this business. Or if it isn't tied to something that is ultimately being evaluated by, is this guy just continuing in the system because it's not connected and he's just lost, and as Magnuson would say, it's the churn? Or are we actually moving this person with a lot of care and concern from living on the streets to living on his own, living on her own, and living a life that's sustainable? What can you do is you can build affordable housing. What else can you do is do what Oceanside has done. Do what Oceanside has done. Give us permission. This is a beautiful partnership. Has the potential to be a beautiful partnership. It is one of the few that I know of. And we may do the same thing in East County. I got two to choose from now. I got one that we own, I got one that the city owns. What I love about Oceanside is it's the public and the private working together on behalf of the guy that can't help himself. And if this works, this will replicate throughout the whole country because they have access to buildings. They can make the CUP a priority. Do you know that we got an approved CUP in National City with not 1 ounce of opposition and not one clarifying question from the council members or the mayor? Unanimous vote to open up a 160-bed facility in an old church building. That's the city's role. Give us access, give us permission, make this easy. The reason, did you know that California leads the country in the number of unsheltered? Why is that? Oh, well, we would say the weather. It's not the weather. So we don't have enough shelter beds. There's not enough navigation centers. There's not enough places for people to go. We should say to people experiencing homelessness, you can't stay here. It's not good for you. It's not good for the community. You can't live here. You can't stay here on this corner. Let's get you into a shelter. That's your option. Now, the police have no teeth around that, but we should create a system where they do. And you can't live here. You can't stay here. You can't, this isn't good for you. And so let's get you into a system where we can get you help. And I realize that for a number of them, they act like that's where they want to be. And I would say that they act like they want to be there because they don't know that there's an option. They've run out of options and they don't trust anybody. You're not taking me to Mexico and dropping me off, and then I'll never see. You're not taking me out to East County and putting me in a field. No, I'm staying right here. Who asked that question? Good with that? Okay.
Very good, thank you.
Ms. Robbie, did you still?
Ms. Robbie.
if they don't fit your program, do you refer them to other?
We do, yeah. We have a network of relationships that our program staff have, and working with NAMI, and working with, the tents that we've set up. There's just other programs that if we're not the right fit for you, or if this isn't something you want to voluntarily do, it's not a jail. They can walk out anytime. Problem is, if you walk out without permission, you just can't get back in. We got rules. And so if we're not the right program for you and you can't make that commitment, then we'll send you someplace else that can.
I'm gonna open it up just to see if anyone online had any questions, and then we'll segue in. I just want to be mindful of everyone's time this morning, and we'll do our introductions for legislative. But anyone online? I see, Mr. John, you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I have a question. So, Donnie, thanks for your presentation. It's excellent. I was wondering what your relationship with the Alpha Project is, and if you guys work together, and how that all works.
Yeah, know Bob, and we've done some referring back and forth. Would tell you that we're probably not as connected as well as we should be or could be. That's something that I think we hope to develop with the other agencies, a much stronger referral system that's in place. And I think we'll be able to do that as we lead the way with these navigation centers and having a rehabilitation program to get plugged into. But we certainly know those guys, love those guys. We've exchanged staff. Some of his staff come to work for me, and some of my staff going to work for him. I got a lot of hourly staff, and so sometimes the other organization pays a little more, and so I've lost some staff because of that. But Deacon Jim and Bob and Greg, we all have a relationship, and I think are working in our lanes to do the best that we can.
So do they operate a program that's pretty similar to yours, but they just operate it under a different umbrella, or how are they different?
How is Alpha different? I think that they have the shelter tent, right? I mean, they've got the big tent that they put up. I would tell you that that's a low barrier shelter. I personally don't think it's a great way to address this issue long term. If you've ever been to the tent, it's crazy. It's and there's no expectation that they have to stop drinking or using. I think would be a big difference to your point. I think it's a big difference. I think that what people need that have an addiction is direction and accountability. And anything apart from that, you're just continuing the churn, as Megson talks about. I think that's probably the biggest difference with those two.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you so much for your question. We're gonna, you're more than welcome to stay after, and we can do a couple questions after, but again, just mindful of the time. So moving on, and thank you so much.
Thank
That
you.
was excellent, right?